material is a really difficult thing for stand-ups. You know, to develop a good 20 to 25 minutes can take a good 3 to 6 months for an established comic. Writing shows and all that sort of stuff does take a period of time. So we went, okay, we'll bring people from interstate. And we went, oh, okay, we're only doing Thursday nights when we first started. We went, okay, well, that's going to be expensive because you've got to fly them up and look after them. So we went, okay, we need to get other rooms. So we ended up finding a venue in Toowoomba. We started doing shows in Toowoomba within the first month and a half to 3 months. And sorry, I had a flashback to the other venue, which was the Crazy Horse on the Gold Coast, which when it first opened, and this was the early days of the Crazy Horse, because at that stage it was a cabaret club, and if you know the Crazy Horse now, it's actually a strip joint, and run by basically, and this is going to be recorded, but you know, let's just say it was a bit underbelly, really. The experience, you know, we would get paid in cash at the end of the night and things like that. Because with the outside venues, we'd sell them the shows. And it was also, our Toowoomba experience was our first experience with dealing with people that didn't follow through and actually didn't pay for the shows. So, which was a very difficult thing. It was one of those moments where we've gone, well, we've done your show, and we ended up doing a number of shows for these people, and they ended up not paying us. And they were a big hotel group, so then we ended up suing them, and you just read. And in the end, it was just a mess. And it was one of those sort of things that you learn. Sometimes it's actually not even worthwhile chasing it by going through courts. It's better to turn up in a dark suit and go, where's my cash? I want my check now. And especially if it's a place where other people are standing around, they tend to give you the check pretty quick. And in those days, you know, me in a dark suit can actually be a bit scary. So we kept developing, and we ended up going to 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week, running shows between. Over a period of time, we ended up getting a lot of different shows in a lot of different places. We started running theatre sports shows. We actually started open mic nights, and in '96 we started doing raw comedy with the Melbourne International Comedy Festival to develop new talent. People like Greg Sullivan, who's on Triple M, and Stav, who's on B105, and Michelle Laurie, who's on Nova, and Josh Thomas, who's on a number of TV shows like Talking My Generation and whatever else he's on. All those guys came through this open mic system that we established. Like Greg Sullivan at that time was living in Dalby, and in the early days we had one open mic spot, which was 5 minutes. And he would catch a bus from Dalby, which took him 2.5 hours. He'd come to Brisbane, do a 5-minute spot, sleep on someone's floor, then go back the next day so he could go to uni. And that's what he was doing when he first started, because we only had the one spot and he wasn't living in Brisbane. Now we have 4 open mic rooms that have 14 spots a night. We do 3 open mic spots at a venue that we do. It's a Paul's Tavern called the Comedy Zone. Our Comedy Zone room is like a step up. What I learned was that we had to give people, you know, goals. You know, come up, do your 5-minute spots. My conversation with them is, look, you're going to be shit, don't worry about it. That's just part of it, you know? Because the bottom line is, sometimes people get up and have a really good first show, and that's possibly the worst thing that can ever happen to you. Because they go, well, yeah, I've had a good show. Yeah, this is easy. And then their next show is really shit. And then the next show is even worse. Because you've got something to compare to, and, you know, so what I normally do is when I talk to guys, I go, chances are you're going to be crap. If you're good, the next show will be shit. But if you do that, it doesn't set them up for the fall, and you go, look, you've got to think of it as an apprenticeship. You know, some people get through it quicker. Some, like Greg Sullivan, like I can rattle off 4 guys that were very good first off. Greg Sullivan, Chris Wainhouse, who ran Comic of the Year in 1999 and won Raw Comedy in 2000. Josh Thomas, and what's one other guy? Who was it? I don't know. But they were really good. They were good performers and good writers. A lot of times you find a lot of guys are good performers and terrible writers. They've just got terrible material, but they're really good at jumping up on stage and doing it. And then you get other guys that are really, really good writers, but can't perform to save themselves. So each one has to educate themselves in one of the forms to develop. So they would go through these open mic rooms, and then I went, okay, they get to a point, to jump from 5 minutes to 10 minutes is actually, it's 50% more material. And it's harder, so we found, okay, we're going to give them 10-minute spots in somewhere, or 5-minute spots in a fully pro room, where they're doing it for free, and then work to 10-minute paid spots, and progressively get better and better, so they can get 20-minute spots, a half-hour spot, start headlining, start doing MCing and all that sort of stuff to develop the talent. And that was a really crucial thing. Okay, so that's how all the comedy sort of stuff happened. The other side of it was developing the marketing and all that sort of stuff, and finding audiences. Because at the beginning it was quite easy, because not a lot of stuff was happening in Brisbane. It was just after the post-Expo depression. A lot of people went to Expo and lived through Expo will understand. Expo was 6 months of partying every night. It's not like going to an Olympics, which is 2 weeks. This is 6 months where you could go out 7 nights a week till 12 o'clock and then go out and party afterwards. And it educated people to go out. But unfortunately, Brisbane didn't have the infrastructure to take advantage of that afterwards. It was people after Expo would go, okay, let's go out. Because they were used to going out and go, well, where do we go? And because there weren't enough clubs, if Expo happened now, it'd be awesome, because we got such a good fine dining, bars and all that sort of stuff. But after Expo, there were seriously people suffering from post-depression. And by 92, people people were still looking for things to do, but it wasn't as intense. And we had these good audiences, but then we hit our first winter. And winter's hard, and especially in a new business. It's people in Brisbane don't know, in summer it's hard because people want to go out, but they want to go out in the sun. They don't want to necessarily sit downstairs and watch something. And in winter, people are scared of going out because it's cold and we're not used to it. And it takes us about 3 weeks to realise that we have coats that are hidden and smell like mothballs and stuff like that. You just hang them out and let them air. It's okay. So and marketing in those days was a lot easier. You go, okay, you want to get girls to come to a show? You used to advertise on B105, because that was the girl station, and Triple M was the boy station. And that was it. And they had such large market shares that you go, okay, we've got Steady Eddie coming, and people would come. And it was also, but it's so changed now. You've so got to target people in so many different ways. I sit there going, okay, you need your personal database of, the people that you have on your mailing list, and you've got to do Twitter, and you've got to do Facebook, and how many people are actually looking at our Facebook? And you sort of ask the guys that are looking up, they go, I don't know, but you've got to do it. And it's that sort of thing, and you really start targeting, like you go, okay, we're doing Arch Barker, so, you target certain audiences and all that sort of stuff for that sort of thing. I'm just rambling now.
But it's spectacularly interesting.
Yeah, okay. Because the good thing for us was, because it was early days for us with comedy, we did a lot of people early on. Like, people that we had in our early days were, and some of the names I'll rattle off, people will know, and some people will, they've had their star and it's dropped, or, in our early days, we'd have, like, Gary Eck was the first interstate act we ever had, and you guys don't even know who I'm talking about. Gary Eck is a fantastic comic, and he was doing writing for Triple M, and, he actually hosted Funniest Home Video, not Funniest Home Video, like a candid camera show, and he's actually the writer on Funny Feet, Funny Feet, the movie. He was the joke doctor for that movie, and he's actually now working with Robin Williams and all those guys on the next, Funny Feet 2 or whatever they end up calling it,
Happy Feet. Happy
Feet, I know. Happy, funny. That's why everyone's looking going, what is he talking about? I'm nervous. That's why I talk fast. But Happy Feet, breathe. Get zen. So he was one of the first guys, and we happened upon him. Acts that we had Judith Lucy and Mick Malloy, and Arj Barker did shows for us for 10 years before he became famous. Ross Noble, all those guys were doing shows for us in the early days. And that's why, you create relationships with people. And like in the last month, we've had Jim Owen came up and practiced his new show for his comedy festivals for the next year. Arj Barker was up a couple of weeks ago. Tom Gleeson is like the next rising star. Carl Barron started with us. Eric Banner.